To our global CTKS family, we're grateful that you're here. All of us together make this one of the best communities on YouTube. Here, we use the world's leading indicator of price, the CTKS method, to give us X-ray vision across stocks, cryptos, forex, commodities, and yields. So we can see what the top 1% in financial markets see before the move happens. That's a license to print money and a way to stay safe. Whilst others are panicked, we are calm. When others guess, we stack probabilities. We don't fall for hype or stories, we profit from reality. We know making just 3.5% per week is a 498% profit per year. We are the elite 1% in financial markets. Price moves in waves, so no matter if price is going up or down, please be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be dedicated and committed, and never blame. Instead, learn and grow into the best version of yourself. Let's see what the markets are doing today. As a student of the CTKS method, you understand that Bitcoin is more than just a chart. It measures risk on and risk off sentiment across all markets. I'd like to give a quick call out to Greg. Greg had a very beautiful comment that he shared on X. And I wanted to share it with you because I think it could help you quite a lot. Greg says, I am patient like a fisherman. I set my hook, my buy limit, and wait. I fish deep, I buy on red, and it works. Greg says, I'm writing to tell you that I'm getting calls from my friends, wealthy friends, that I never heard ask me this before, asking how to place big money into Bitcoin now. Now, this is a really important thing. The wealthy are very specific. When price comes down, they get really excited. This is the opposite to retail. And in this video, I'll go into that very hidden wealth playbook that you really need to know about. Greg says, my advice is to always watch Ken and ladder in. Don't jump in. And Greg says, I'd love to hear your advice. And he also says, I love these pullbacks. Now let's have a look at Bitcoin structurally to see what Greg was talking about. Laddering in is something that's really important. Now, where do you ladder in? That's the key question. So let's pop on the service indicator. So we can see this 87,000 was the level that Greg was talking about. And there were also SLs, what are called Stanfield levels, at a lower 83,000, 82,600, and around that 81,400 level. And we can see all of these levels actually got hit with that sell-off. And what have we seen since? Price has reverted back. It found structural support. So what are these lines? And why do they work so very, very well? As the top 1% inside financial markets, you have an institutional grade edge. You are an institution of one. Now, what do you do to get this edge? The first step is the CTKS cheat sheet and doing it daily. You have to understand how the market is moving. The cheat sheet is available absolutely free of charge on ctksmethod.org. You just scroll down to this Your Cheat Sheet to Mastering Price Action, and you can just press this button and download it absolutely free. There's some helpful videos as well if you scroll down a little bit further. Now the question is, what does the cheat sheet do? It is 7 rows. Row 1 and row 2 measure risk on and risk off. Now, what we saw, especially around October the 10th, and many inside our beloved global family were not impacted at all by that sell-off. Now, why was that the case? Because the VIX had been trending down for some time and was just doing a basing pattern. It was likely to spike up, and that's exactly what it did on October the 10th. That big spike down that we saw inside the crypto market was mechanical. It was caused by intercorrelation and interconnection between markets. The VIX spike also spiked down the S&P 500 and the other major market indexes. So it's really important to keep your eye on the VIX. But we can't stop there. We must understand how Forex is moving, how commodities are moving, and the bond market as well. Being an institution of one, elevates you above 99% of people inside financial markets. You know why the major market indexes move, and of course the individual stocks move with the major market indexes. Just in the same way as Apple and Tesla, Microsoft, Nvidia, they move with row 3. We know that Bitcoin moves, of course, with total, and that moves the crypto market. But all of this depends on row 1 and row 2. So when other people are out scratching their heads, just making up conspiracy theories on why the market's moved, we already see it. But it doesn't stop there. With level 1 and level 2 standard certification, we can actually mark up the charts with CTKS levels, which are also called Stanfield levels. That's what Greg was talking about. And that's what we were seeing inside Bitcoin. Now, how good are these SLs or CTKS levels? And how does the monthly structural model relate to the daily structural model? Let's have a look in and let's focus specifically on two things, Bitcoin and Tesla. Inside the service, elite service members get the up and down paths or up and down projection paths for all of these charts, which includes Bitcoin here and Tesla, which is just here. And that's what I'm going to show you. Now, just before I do that, the thing to understand, the key is level 1 and level 2 standard certification are the foundations of drawing the daily structure, and that daily structure is the foundation of the monthly structure. Level 1 standard certification is the essential introduction, but all of the magic is inside level 2 standard certification, and the paths I'm about to show you are that last lesson inside level 2. You can see that to draw those dashed lines does take a bit of knowledge. It's not something random. If you understand where the structure is inside the market, it is an incredible power. And a big call out to everybody who comments. You're absolutely awesome. And Steve and Mary Allen shared this. Steve and Mary Allen are really, really good traders, and they have a very specific way of doing things. Crypto Turtle and Steve and Mary Allen tend to do the same stuff. That is BORSOG, buy on red, sell on green. And Steve and Mary Allen were saying all about how you can layer in. There is incredible alpha inside the comments. And also a very warm call out to Edwin. And Edwin says, I'm actively trading structure. And if you've done the Profiting Masterclass, you understand exactly what Edwin is talking about here. Now, the thing to understand about structure, we saw a bit of a repair above the 83,800 level, and that was confirmed again. And we've managed to put a structural target of that 87,200 into play. Now, if we get follow through up here, we've got a higher structural target that we could be reaching. Now, where is that structure? It's around 93,000. Instead of other people trying to figure out and trying to guess where structure is, we already know. We read these dashed lines to the right. That means we know where price can go. We also know if it's strongly supported or strongly resisted. Up around this 93, we're starting to get into a selling area. But from here up to there, it could be very interesting. Now, always remember that if this doesn't hold true, if we get an underside retest and a movement down below 86,800, we structurally target back to the 82,700 level. Just understanding and knowing the price is always moving in a wave between structural levels is just a game changer. Now, what about structural targeting? Could we have predicted this sell-off? The answer is yes. Now, how is this particular line drawn? Is it drawn to price or is it drawn independently of price? Well, the answer is inside the monthly service. When the monthly service video is released, these lines are already drawn. They're called CTKS paths to the end of the month target. And you can see really clearly that we have structure down here. Now, what does this mean? It means that we're following a downward trend, but we already knew these prices could occur, and that's exactly what Stephen Mary Allen took into account. If you would like to see this month's video, it's inside the service tab at ctksmethod.org. Let's very quickly have a look at total crypto market cap. Now, what you can see here is that the entire crypto market moves within structure. That's why we get support levels that turn into resistance levels if the sell pressure is high enough. But at the start of the month, you would already know, if you were an elite service member, that the crypto market could sell down and was actually on the negative price path. What typically happens inside financial markets, people think it must go positive because that's where they want it to go, and that's pretty fair. But price is always moving in a wave. This particular chart is on a daily basis. The key to understand this chart, this particular path is drawn at the start of the month and never changed. It may look like a fairly orderly decrease in price, but just let's zoom out a little. I've just popped on the negative path, and you can see it's done a fairly good job of predicting and estimating structurally where crypto could go. We know that there was a mass of gaps inside structure, and that mass of gaps has created all of this panic. We talked about that panic a couple of weeks ago. Now, a couple of weeks ago I said there would be widespread panic if we lost certain structural levels, and we lost them. You can also see Tesla has been going down the negative price path. It's not sold down completely structurally. It's finding a degree of structural support. And this is what these particular curves mean. Structural support, structural resistance, but based on level 1 and level 2 standard certification. And you will find these paths inside the monthly service video, inside the service. You will find the targets inside the indicator that is provided inside the service as well. Understanding where price can head is very important, and to do that we use structural targeting. If we get structural passes, that creates a positive structural target. If we get structural failures, that creates a negative structural target. Now, how do we know where the structural target actually is? To do that, we must mark up the chart with level 1 and level 2 standard certification. And if you're time poor, the service does it for you and just provides this indicator through TradingView. So what we can see is we're starting to exhibit a structural pass. It is very early. What you need to do is to understand just because it gets over doesn't create a structural pass. It depends on liquidity shocks. And these are also discussed inside the Profiting Masterclass. So when we look at this particular action, we are in favor of a structural target on the 93,000. Now, what does that mean to specific targets on, for example, Solana or ADA, XRP, Doge? We'll look at those in a minute. Now, you also have to think that price is always moving in a wave. It goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down. So it's important not to have a continuity bias, but to have a wave bias instead. And the thing is, just know where the structure is. The structure doesn't constrain your buying. It just lets you know where the key levels are inside the market. But Profiting Masterclass students know that we can't just look at Bitcoin if we want to if your particular chart was ADA, for example, or Solana. If you were looking at Solana, you can't just look at Bitcoin and say, positive CTKS, structural target 93, above this area, that's where I expect Solana to go. That is one stack probability, but it's not enough. Profiting Masterclass students know that we must look at total crypto market cap as well, from a level 1 and level 2 structure. So when we do that, we understand around that 3.04 trillion is where the sellers will come in. So we can have a structural target below where Bitcoin's structural target was. This is stacking of probabilities. Let's quickly look into Ethereum, which at the time of recording of this video was 2832. Now, if we look at the service member structure through level 1 and level 2, what we see is this. Just below the 2960 and around the 3000, there are structural sell levels. But there is a positive CTKS gap, so if we can get above 2840, we're instantly targeting the 2960, and that's aligning quite well with Bitcoin and total crypto market cap. If we get a structural failure on the 2840, we're targeting 2794, but it realistically depends on what Bitcoin and total do. At the end part of the video, I go through all of the cheat sheet components just in super quick time. That's how the Profiting Masterclass students are taught. It doesn't have to take long. In fact, you can do it in minutes. But one thing that we saw, the VIX has been responsible for the crypto market coming down. We've had two big VIX spikes, and those spikes have absolutely cratered the crypto market. The crypto market is wildly oversold. And we can also see that the VIX declined in the past session. What I do at the start of every video is I give you heat maps across the stock market, the crypto market, liquidity, heat maps as well. It's all based to inform your decision making. And what we see, after the VIX spikes up, crypto does come down, but when the VIX declines, crypto rallies like a crazy thing, as does the stock market. So what we're seeing now is there's been a bit of a bounce inside the crypto market because the VIX only trades when the US markets are open. Profiting Masterclass students, it's very important that you go through and you understand week 2, especially lesson 2. I've been pointing out this for quite some time. We know that we've got a gravitational well on Bitcoin, so checking out week 2 lesson 1 is also important. But make sure that you understand all the different components of the cheat sheet. Having the capability to predict the tops and bottoms on all of the cheat sheet components is money in the bank. And we do know structurally that the Nasdaq a couple of days ago tried to take out these sell levels but was stopped. But it's come into fairly good structure at the current time. It's found a degree of structural support with the VIX backing off. And when we look at the paths for Nvidia, these are level 2 standard certification paths, and we can see that they're currently estimating that the structure on Nvidia is not the strongest. But we would anticipate a bit of a flick up here because the VIX is backing off, and we've seen buyers come in to support Nvidia. And this is really important because Nvidia is the AI play. The thing to remember, these paths, CTKS paths, are drawn structurally. Price isn't even there when we draw these paths up. If we were looking at ADA, we can see that there's structural resistance at that 4320 mark. Now, if Bitcoin and total manage to come up the structural target of 4320 and even higher at that 4400 mark, for ADA, Cardano looks quite good, but we must always assume the price is moving in a wave. If we get structural weakness coming in, we must pay attention to that too. But the fortunate thing is that we do have a lot of structural underpinning support. Looking at the level 1 and level 2 standard certification levels on Solana, we can see that around that 142, it gets really interesting. But Solana has all of this 133 to break through. Now there will be a lot of people with their shorting stops above this area. So if Bitcoin and total go for it, we would expect a lot of liquidations, short liquidations on Solana to push the price up to the 142. But if the sellers are very strong, they may be able to push it down to this 129.50. Solana can't escape Bitcoin's gravitational pull, so the short sellers will have no option but to cover their positions if Bitcoin and Total go for it. If that does occur and the bullish case comes out 6.84% up to the 142. If you're new to the CTKS method, we chase small percentages because you don't need to make big percentages to make big percentages. If you could just make 3.5% per week compounded at the end of the year, you would make 498% profit. That's why those lines are in the indicators. The indicators are provided inside the service. At the end of every daily show, I do the run-through of the CTKS cheat sheet. It's really important to look at that run-through, especially keep your eyes on the VIX. Look towards stacking probabilities across row 1 and row 2 to understand how the stock market and the crypto market will move. Always remember that everything is determined from the daily structural model. The daily structural model, if it's failing, will cause the negative price paths to be actioned in the monthly structural model. But if the daily structural model is passing, that pushes positive structural potential into the monthly model. If the monthly structural models are failing, the long view forecast models that you do will also fail. That's why everything, literally everything, comes down to the daily model. Everything. The other 99% are taught to look at the long view model that may or may not occur, and the best thing that they could do is to look at the monthly structural model, but they will completely disregard the daily structural model and will bleed. As top 1%, you understand the reality of the price chart is simply between structural support and structural resistance levels. That's it, and price moving in a wave. If you just make small percentages on a weekly basis, you'll do incredibly well. It's really important to take all the pressure off yourself, and you can see in the past couple of months we've had a lot of negative price momentum. Please do not revenge trade. Now, revenge trading is simply saying to the market, you must pay me back because you cost me money. It's very common to feel this way, but just go slowly. Just keep your structural awareness, keep an idea of where the gaps are, and always think in terms of 3 dimensions: down, consolidation, and up last. It's very good if you just disregard bull markets, disregard bear markets. Everything is an eagle market. Price is up and down when it's going up, and price is up and down when it's going down. You can do well in any particular market if you know the structure. And this very vicious sell down was on the cards. You can see that we already targeted it in the monthly structural levels and in the monthly path. You can use the CTKS code to do your daily 3-dimensional risk management. Always assume, if you're going long at spot, just assume that the market can go down. It can go neutral and it can go up, but think about the up case last, not first. Typically, what people say, I'm going to miss out, and they unfortunately FOMO into positions. If you think about the down case first, you're thinking in a wave-based function, and this is the way to think. Your only focus is to get synchronized in with the market to raise your synchronization factor as high as humanly possible. Looking through the cheat sheet over time will do that for you. The sell down inside the crypto market has been horrendous for many, and if you're going through a life pullback at the current time, please know that our love and healing thoughts are with you. You're not alone, and the sun will come out again. What you've actually done is you've paid the price that all of us who are long-term inside markets have to pay. It's the cost of burning out your emotions. Always remember, if it's fear or greed, that is what you feel. Your account will bleed. It's all too real. Keeping that in mind will make you a fortune, and it will save you a fortune as well. It's just like life. When you hit rock bottom, that's the time that you rebuild your thoughts and theories about how to go forward in life. Hitting rock bottom isn't a problem. Staying there is. That's why it's really important to have hope, and hope always springs eternal. The markets are unlimited opportunity generating machines. All you need to do is to learn the rules of the market and you will do well. Now, what happens here? How come it goes up and then comes back again? Doesn't it just go up forever? No, everything in life moves in a wave. Our personal lives move in a wave, our health moves in a wave, our friendships, they move in a wave, our work moves in a wave, and the markets also. As a human being, you're not your mistakes, you are not your losses. These things happen and they happen to everyone. It's a rite of passage. That's why it's really important to stay very positive. The CTKS Creed has daily positive affirmations for abundance, financial success, and happiness. Knowing that your life pullbacks will give you strength for the next life rally is really important. Having a right mindset is wildly important for your consistent profitability, and being dedicated and committed, either winning or learning and never blaming, is absolutely essential. If you learn, you're effectively just using failure as a stepping stone and understanding that there is no failure. When you get a setback, that's actually setting you up for the next life rally. You literally fail your way to success. This is not what people are told. People are told if you fail, stop. Actually, you need to do the opposite of what people are told. If you fail, keep going, but do so with increased knowledge, increased learning. Seek not to make the same mistakes again and again. And that's why we always solve our problems with positive excellence. Solving your problems with positive excellence just means that you are kind to yourself and kind to others. There's no need to be angry with yourself, just learn. If you've made it up to this point in the video, you are absolutely sensational. You are the top 1%. And please leave something about 1% in the comments. That way I'll know you got here. And you are absolutely awesome. Now let's check out and run through the cheat sheet super quickly. If you found a new knowledge gem or learnt something new, please share it in the comments. We are a community of abundance, not scarcity. If you're new, we would love for you to become part of our global family. All you need to do is smash like, subscribe, press the notification bell, and comment on what time it is now. Doing this shows that you are committed to forging a better life for yourself and the ones that you love. With financial literacy, you can become recession-proof. Trading and investing are lifelong professions. Tourists visit during bull markets only to get wiped out, but professionals stay no matter the market conditions because they know that making just 3% per week is a 365% return per year. We are the elite 1% in financial markets. You will create security and financial freedom in direct proportion to your willingness to learn and grow, and never blame. If you commit, your world will improve immediately. If you're going through a life pullback, our love and healing thoughts are with you. The sun will come out again. There is always hope. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Show gratitude and happiness, and you'll already feel richer today, and today is all we ever really have. Kate and I very much look forward to joining you again in the next video.